Game. Adam Vingan, Connor Nute, Brandon Bigsby here with you following our IndyCar race coverage. Willie Donick and Derek Mason out on vacation this week, not together, separate vacations, but they happen to be gone at the same time. Both of them will be back a week from today, July 27th. So Connor and Brandon will be joining me all week. Say hello, everybody.
Hello. I mean, we talk 5 days a week. You all know who I am.
Yes.
I've been freed from the shackles of behind the glass, and now I'm in the studio. So excited to be here.
Yes, I now occupy those shackles for the next week, but excited to do so. I think this is only the second time I've gotten to work with you, Adam, so excited to be with you for the next few days. Me and Connor obviously have worked together on some stuff, so should be fun. Looking forward to it.
Yes, the only other time Brandon and I worked together was the Monday following that terrible, terrible ice storm in Nashville. Brandon produced the show. It was me and Parker Kelly. If you recall last week, I told the story about eating day-old McDonald's.
That was that day.
That was that day.
I think I was in a hotel room, or I was on my way to a hotel room that day because we didn't have power.
I needed energy, and nothing was open, and there was a day-old, I assume it was day-old, I hope it was only a day-old, Egg McMuffin or something, and I scarfed it down. It didn't feel great, but it got me through the program. So a much more enjoyable experience this time around with Brandon Bigsby. I'm looking forward to this week. We will spend the week, of course, previewing Titans training camp, and starting tomorrow through Friday, for an hour every day, we're going to have a different Titans reporter in studio. Tomorrow, Terry McCormick will join us. Wednesday, Nick Suss. Thursday, Easton Freeze. And Friday, Teron Davenport. Normally, TD joins us today. He will not be joining us today. He will be joining us in studio on Friday. A belated congratulations to Spain on winning the World Cup yesterday against Argentina. Admittedly, I did not watch the entire match. I watched the end. Very exciting. And even if you aren't a soccer fan, I think you can appreciate how dominant Spain was throughout the World Cup. Spain allowed 1 goal in 8 matches?
Yeah.
Incredible. And Spain absolutely stifled Messi in Argentina yesterday. So congratulations to Spain. Soccer, thank you for the content.
We'll see you in 4 years.
We'll probably see you in 4 years. But thank you for the content. Thank you for the Flo Balogun red card. That shouldn't have been a red card. And Freddie, the random German dude, and the Scottish fans drinking all of the beer in Boston. You provided so much content for us in one of the slowest times of the sports calendar. So for that, we salute you. But I do want to start today's program on something that I think is tailor-made for Connor and me.
Okay. I know what this
Is Tom Brady in the middle of a midlife crisis? That is a question a lot of people are asking because of what Tom Brady has been doing over the past few days. So in case you missed it, there's this gigantic festival, I guess you can call it, called Fanatics Fest that's held, I think, every summer in New York City. They get all of these A-list celebrities. They pay them a ton of money. I mean, I can't even imagine how much money Fanatics shells out for all of these A-list celebrities and athletes to show up at this convention hall in New York City. But there was a viral clip of Tom Brady slapping Logan Paul in the face. Logan Paul, influencer / WWE wrestler. Karl Anthony Towns was there, I think, separating the two. And then there was another video of Tom Brady and Logan Paul at the World Cup final, with Tom Brady giving Logan Paul the finger and Logan Paul needing to be held back by, I believe, Fanatics founder Michael Rubin. And I have absorbed all of the commentary on this, Connor, today. And man, there are so many people who are wondering, is Tom Brady okay? even as wrestling fans, I think you and I can agree that this is probably beneath Tom Brady,
Yes.
but it is humorous to see how many people seemingly are concerned about Tom Brady's well-being because of all of the stuff he's been doing lately.
It's you're right. It's as much as I love the WWE and I love professional wrestling, this is beneath Brady. I mean, Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, in my opinion. You could argue the greatest player in NFL history. And now he's stooping to the level of fake fighting. Sorry, not fake. I don't like it when people say fake. Scripted fighting is more what I was looking for. I don't, as a fan, I don't want to see this. I don't think we really need to see this. I'm good. I would like to see wrestling be handled by the professionals that are on a weekly basis, not some quarterback in his mid 50s looking for something to do. I just don't understand the discourse. I mean, the discourse around it is he okay? And I'm kind of wondering the same thing. How much money are they offering him? And if that's so, you're offering him this much money. Why?
But he doesn't need money.
He doesn't need it.
How much money did he make in his NFL career? How much is Fox paying him to be their number one commentator on NFL games? How much are the Raiders paying him? Like, he doesn't need the money. And we all need someone in our lives who will tell us when we're doing something we shouldn't be doing. And I don't know who that person is for Tom Brady, but somebody needs to chime in here. And don't get me wrong, there are countless examples of celebrated athletes throwing their hats into the wrestling ring. I mean, Lawrence Taylor headlined a WrestleMania at one point. Lawrence Taylor. I mean, this past weekend, Karl Anthony Towns was in a wrestling ring at Madison Square Garden. Tom Brady's ex-teammate Rob Gronkowski has been involved in wrestling. If you want to keep it local,
I wonder if that's who talked him into it.
I don't know. But I mean, what was I just about to say? Locally, there I go. Locally, Pac-Man Jones, when he was suspended from the NFL, he was in TNA wrestling. Friend of the show, Jeff Jarrett, brought him in. Fun fact about that, even though Pac-Man Jones wasn't playing that season, there were clauses in his contract that prevented him from taking part in non-football physical activities. So Jeff Jarrett and Steve Underwood had to come to an agreement where Pac-Man Jones would be allowed to be involved in a wrestling match, but he wasn't allowed to be physical. So Pac-Man Jones, actually a tag team champion in TNA with Ron the Truth Killings, a.k.a. R-Truth. But all Pac-Man Jones did was come in the ring and get the cover, I believe, on Sting. So, I mean, look, there is a long list of athletes trying wrestling, but I don't think Tom Brady needs to be that guy. One texter on our text line, driven by Wilson County Hunter.com, says they're setting him up for being on a pay-per-view. There was a story in the news this past week about him wanting to perform in WWE. I heard Brady say something like that, but I thought it was just lip service, just to get people talking. I didn't expect this to become some sort of angle where he's given Logan Paul the bird at the World Cup final. So it seems like more than just lip service.
And Logan's hurt right now, too, I think. Like, he's got the torn, unless it's a work, and we're getting worked by it, but he's got like a torn labrum or something like that.
Jalen Brunson was in the ring over the weekend, says David from Watertown. Indeed, he was.
With Tyrese Halliburton.
But he wasn't involved in any physicality. Karl Anthony Towns executed 2 choke slams. So the 2 things can be true. Here's how we'll wrap this up. 2 things can be true about whatever the hell is going on with Tom Brady. It's probably beneath him. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the exposure. But most of you are going to want to watch Tom Brady get in the ring. If next year at WrestleMania, which I believe is in Saudi Arabia, and it's supposed to be, by the way, the following year's WrestleMania was supposed to be here at the new Nissan Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But if Tom Brady gets into the wrestling ring at WrestleMania next spring, you know most of you are going to tune in because you're curious as hell. So two things could be true. Tom Brady, you don't need to be doing this, but also my curiosity is piqued, and that's all they really need, right?
I mean, Tom Brady fighting in the WWE would be what I refer to as a piss match, the kind of match that you feel comfortable getting
A
up
popcorn match.
and taking a
Another
piss.
term for it.
Yes, that as well.
Yes.
That would. I don't need to see Tom Brady and Logan Paul fight. I'm good. I'm all right.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the World Cup final. Again, congratulations to Spain. By the way, Greg Roberts on our text line says MLS/Nashville SC disrespect. And I knew that this was going to come up. And I truly mean this with all due respect to all of our fanatical soccer fan listeners. I am not yucking your yum, as Caroline Fenton used to say. But for the casual soccer fans, like myself, like Connor Nute, like many of you, we'll probably move on from soccer a little bit. Now, if Nashville SC tears it up, we'll discuss it. But there was just something about the World Cup, especially it being here in our country, on our continent, that made it a little extra special. So I liked the World Cup. I enjoyed the World Cup more than I anticipated when it started.
Me too.
I watched far more soccer this past month than I anticipated when the tournament started, and probably more soccer than I've ever watched in my life. And I enjoyed it. So that's no disrespect to you, Greg, or any of our other Nashville SC fans who are listening. We are not denigrating your beloved sport. I just want to put that out there. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts as well on Tom Brady apparently getting ready to wrestle, which, again, he doesn't need to do it, but I think some of y'all are going to tune in just to see whatever the hell goes on. 615-737-1025. All right. SEC Media Days are underway in, for some reason, Tampa, Florida. By the way, SEC Media Days back here in Nashville next year. Mark your calendars. But SEC Media Days are underway in Tampa. And I've got a question. Which team is under more pressure in 2026? The Tennessee Volunteers or the Vanderbilt Commodores? We'll discuss coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. SEC Media Days are underway, and 102.5 The Game will have updates throughout the week. SEC Media Days coverage is brought to you by Shaneco, Tri-State Water, Power, and Air, and the Music City kickoff game featuring Ole Miss taking on Louisville September 6th at Nissan Stadium. Get your tickets now at NashvilleSports.com. Adam Vingan, Connor Nute, Brandon Bigsby here with you today and throughout the week. Willie Donick and Derek Mason on vacation. As I said, not together, separately, but they will both be back a week from today. Before we move on to our SEC Media Days conversation, Lenny on our text line says about Tom Brady, it's something that he wants to do. Why would you judge him based on what he wants to do? I just don't understand. I hope he's having fun and enjoying life. Go get him, Tom. This is my point, generally, Lenny and others. Tom Brady doesn't have to do this, okay? He's not hurting for cash. His legacy is intact. He is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't know if you can really argue it, but people will. So I will say arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. He's got another job that pays him a ton of money to work. Well, he works more than one day a week. He's on TV once a week, and there's prep work that goes into that. But he's getting paid a ton of money for a relatively cushy job, I would say. He's part owner of an NFL team. He doesn't need to be doing this. But I think, Connor, you can trace this back a little bit. It's not just the slap fight with Logan Paul or giving Logan Paul the finger the other day. It's doing one of those Netflix roasts. Yeah. And he's pimping Pizza Hut right now. Remember Tom Brady? He was drinking like avocado smoothies or something like that.
He released an energy drink.
Right. Tom Brady would never eat Pizza Hut, and yet he's hawking Pizza Hut. I've just got some questions. That's all. I'm just wondering if there's somebody in Tom Brady's life who needs to check in on Tom Brady. That's all I'm saying. Look,
he's bored.
He's bored, and that's why when people tell you money doesn't buy you happiness, maybe they're right after all. I thought, hey, if I had as much money as Tom Brady, I would have a smile on my face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but maybe not. I don't know if Tom Brady can't smile because of all of the chemicals he's injected into his face at this point in his life, but I digress. If he wants to do it, go nuts. All right, so SEC Media Days are underway in Tampa, Florida, and as I said before the break, Greg Sankey announced earlier today that SEC Media Days will return here to Nashville next year. It was held here in 2023. That is my only experience covering SEC Media Days. And let me tell you, Connor, it is an experience.
I imagine.
It's talking season. It fills a lot of notebooks. It fills a lot of airtime. But I remember doing a full week of coverage, leaving SEC Media Days and thinking to myself, did I really learn anything? All I learned at SEC Media Days 2023 is that the SEC has an official sausage. I believe it was Johnsonville at the time. I'm not sure if that's right. Still holds, but I went to get something to eat, and it was like Johnsonville, the official sausage of the SEC. And it's like, if you can have an official sausage, you're in good shape. So here's the question I want to discuss now, 615-737-1025. Which team is under more pressure in 2026, the Tennessee Volunteers or the Vanderbilt Commodores? Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com, and welcome in our friend Bear. Bear, thank you for calling and waiting. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking the call, Adam. I just wanted to say real quick with Tom, he's been so regimented all his NFL career and, been dealing with Belichick and all that. I think he out here just doing stuff he want to do. And like you said, the people, he ain't got to, train for game muscle. Maybe he can finally just let his hair down. And as far as the Vanderbilt and Tennessee, I think Clark Lee, with the back season he had, I mean, he kind of like with Stoops and Kentucky, man. He could probably have 500 seasons in a row before any rumbling start up about him. But Hyper, this year, Hyper gonna be on the hot seat if he don't start turning around this year. Even though he loaded everywhere but quarterback, but he better start doing something this year. And Adam, real quick, this might sound crazy because I was telling to my partners, if Hyper don't make it, why come they don't look at T. Martin? Everybody think I'm crazy, but I think being a head coach ain't really about play calling. It's about recruiting. It's about fundraising. It's about leadership, and it's about game management. I don't think you have to be a great play caller. You just need to be all them things. And thanks for taking my call, Adam, and you have a great show.
Thank you, Bear. I might make the argument here, Connor. You tell me if I'm nuts. I might make the argument here that Vanderbilt is under more pressure.
Really?
I understand that Tennessee is the more storied program, and Bear is right. It was a frustrating and disappointing season for Tennessee this past season, punctuated by the Volunteers getting their asses kicked at home against Vanderbilt. That certainly stings. 1 year after making it to the college football playoff, I might add. But here's why I think Vanderbilt, you can make the argument that Vanderbilt is under more pressure in 2026. The Commodores are coming off of the best season in school history, 10-3, just missed out on making the college football playoff. The program has won 17 games over the past 2 seasons, which has only been done one other time in program history. The James Franklin-led Commodores won 18 combined games from 2012 to 2013. But the biggest question about Vanderbilt, which I'm sure Clark Lee is going to be asked, I believe he speaks tomorrow. So I'm sure Clark Lee is going to get a ton of questions about this tomorrow at SEC Media Days. What does the post-Diego Pavia era look like at Vanderbilt? We all know how much influence Diego Pavia had in the transformation of the Vanderbilt football program. And I think Vanderbilt as a whole, not just the football team, the basketball programs, of course, the baseball program, the Commodores have been putting such an emphasis on athletics that I don't think Vanderbilt fans are going to be like, yeah, it was fun for 2 years, but, as Willie would say, we're Vanderbilt. And, it was fun, but we're going to go back to caring more about academics and our football team. Yeah, whatever. Like, I think Vanderbilt might be past that. And part of me wonders, okay, with Diego Pavia gone, the Commodores breaking in Jared Curtis, will Commodores fans give the team a pass this season if things don't go swimmingly? And maybe that's what happens. But I think after the heights that this program has reached over the past 2 years, I don't think you can just snap your fingers and say, okay, we'll go back to sort of not caring. I think it's really important for the Commodores to continue to build off the momentum that Diego Pavia built. And we're not expecting Jared Curtis to come in and replace Diego Pavia, as I understand, completely different quarterbacks. But I could make the argument, Connor, that Vanderbilt is under more pressure than Tennessee.
It's a fair argument. I think there's sides to both teams. You're right. I'm curious what Vanderbilt looks like in the post-Diego Pavia era. I think if Jared Curtis is going to start, I'm curious how they handle a 5-star quarterback of that caliber that they've never seen before. But I would argue that Tennessee is under more pressure just because I think the expectations are always going to be higher for Tennessee than Vanderbilt. You have more resources there. Historically speaking, athletically, Tennessee has more resources than Vanderbilt does. That may be changing right now. It's a very valid argument. But I would argue, Tennessee had the opportunity to go bring a solidified quarterback in college football. They didn't do that. They bring in Jim Knowles, who is a notable defensive coordinator coming from Penn State, has done a lot of successful things in his career. You have the whole Chaz Coleman situation that played out, and that's a loss, and I think that will help them a little bit. But you want to see development in the Josh Heupel era, and it started off on a high. You have the season with Hendon Hooker, which is historical, and it looked like Vols football was back. You make the college football playoff the next year. And then after that, it's just been a steady, 9-3, 8-4. It's kind of more of the same from Vols football. So for that reason, I think Vandy, coming off the season they're coming off of, I think it's fair to expect a little bit of a come down period where they, maybe not regress isn't the right word, but they come back to earth. They become sort of the middle of the pack SEC team. And that's not a bad thing for Vanderbilt standards. For Tennessee, that fan base expects to dominate year in and year out. And they haven't in a really long time. And they've been searching for the coach that's been going to be able to get them over the top. They think Heupel is that guy. And he hasn't proven that so far. So I think this is the year that the seat for Josh Heupel starts to heat up. If he continues this path and there's more of the same and they finish 8-4 or 7-5 or something around that area, then I think it's a disappointment of a season. And I think Tennessee's under a lot more pressure than Vanderbilt is.
For Vanderbilt, there are ready-made excuses if things don't go well. The Commodores are missing, of course, Diego Pavia, Heisman Trophy runner-up this past season, 3 of their top 4 receivers from last season, 4 starting offensive linemen from last season, and 8 of 11 regulars in the defensive front six. So I think in terms of the percentage of returning production on both sides of the ball, Vanderbilt is the worst team in the SEC in terms of the percentage of returning production.
Yeah.
So there are ready-made excuses for the Commodores if things don't go well. Clark Lee certainly will not accept any of those excuses. And again, I am very curious to hear how he discusses this tomorrow when he takes the stage at SEC Media Days. On the Tennessee front, I would say that Tennessee's schedule favors the Volunteers. Of their toughest games, I think 3 of 4 of them are at home.
Yeah.
The Vols have Texas at home.
Bama.
They've got Alabama at home, and they've got LSU at home. On the road in the SEC, they're at Arkansas, they're at South Carolina, they're at Texas A&M, and they're at Vanderbilt. So, look, you're going to play tough games in the SEC, but I would say the Vols' 3 hardest games this season, or at least 3 of 4, are at Neyland Stadium. So perhaps that does, to your point, put more pressure on Josh Heupel and the Vols this season because you have the toughest opponents on your schedule at home, and you've got to take care of business at home. So I understand your point that historically Tennessee is the much better football program, but Vanderbilt is coming off of the best season in school history. And I think it would be a major disappointment if the Commodores completely fall off the map. I think they're not going to be as good as they were last year. I think it would be really difficult for Vanderbilt to be as good as it was last year. Things just worked out so well for them. But when you're missing so many important players on both sides of the ball, you're breaking in a freshman quarterback. I also think that plays into the pressure for Vanderbilt. You've got Jared Curtis, the highest rated prospect in program history. He's local. We talked about this last week on the show when it was projected that Blaise Berlowitz was going to start at quarterback, at least to start the season for Vanderbilt. They want to see the kid. The Commodores fans want to see Jared Curtis. There's a lot of excitement about Jared Curtis. So I think there's pressure on Clark Lee to make sure that Jared Curtis is ready as soon as possible. And when he gets out there, there are going to be a lot of people that are hoping that he lives up to the hype.
I think program expectations and fan expectations are 2 totally different things. You know this in covering the Predators.
Yes.
I would imagine that the Predators' expectations inside the locker room don't quite fit with the expectations of what the common fan wants to see. I think the same thing is true for college football. So that being said, the program expectations for Vanderbilt are probably to try and replicate a season like they had last year. But I think deep down internally, they know with this roster they have and the schedule that they have and the other things that play into factor, it's just probably not likely. Tennessee, I think, is the opposite. With that schedule they had, like you mentioned, an easy schedule, sort of. You play a lot of your tough teams at home.
An advantageous schedule.
Advantageous.
Let's call it that.
That's a good word. With a schedule like that, inside that program, I think they expect success. And every program should expect success before the season starts. That's how it works. We're in sunshine and rainbow season. But program mentality and fan mentality are different. Fan mentality for Vandy, I think they're a little bit more level-headed than, oh my God, we're going to go out there and we're going to go 10-2 again. I think they are reasonable in expecting a little bit of a come-down period, like I said. And, being middle of the pack in the SEC with a true freshman quarterback that you managed to flip committed to one of the top universities and top football programs in the nation, I think that's on the right trajectory. I would be okay with that. I would kill for my program to go 6-6 this year. It'd be great. Tennessee, I think that's a fan base that expects to go 12-0 every year, and unrealistically so. That program, I think, expects to make the college football playoff. And if they don't, then it's a failure of a season. And you know how that fan base is. If they don't make the college football playoff, it is the worst team of all time. They are immediately calling for people's jobs. They are immediately petitioning to go to another fan base. They're crazy in a good way and also a bad way. But depending on who you root for. I'm just saying, I think in terms of who's under the more pressure, it's an objective view of the fan. Like I would imagine Vandy fans would say we're under more pressure than Tennessee fans. To me, from an outsider perspective, I lean more Tennessee, but I agree with you, and I think both are under some fair amount of pressure.
615-737-1025. Which SEC team is under more pressure in 2026? Vanderbilt or Tennessee? We've each made our case for both programs. You tell us. 615-737-1025. Today was Tennessee Day at SEC Media Days. Clark Lee and Vanderbilt will be part of SEC Media Days tomorrow. 615-737-1025. On the other side, we'll dive into some more SEC Media Days topics. 615-737-1025. Connor Nute, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Said you came here because you can believe you can win here. Why is that? Kentucky historically has fought against a narrative, against perception. Why do you think you can win big here?
This is going to sound like really, I think because of me, to be honest.
I played that just for you, Connor Nute.
I'm fired
New
up.
Kentucky coach Will Stein.
I'm fired up.
How can you turn Kentucky around? That was Will Stein's version of Kirk Signetti's Google me. Because of me. We're going to turn it around because of me. How does that make you feel as our resident Wildcat to hear that?
I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I mean, he's not lying. It's not. I mean, he could have played the safe way and go, yeah, because I think we have a really good roster and blah, blah, blah. But every coach in America is going to do that. He understands that he was brought here for a reason, and that reason is to, I don't even want to say resurrect, start something at Kentucky that hasn't been done before, a prominent football program. And look, it's, this being a fan of a basketball school as well. It's football will never come before basketball at that university. Just like I don't think football comes before basketball at Duke or North Carolina or Kansas or those blue blood colleges that care about basketball more. But it would be nice to see Kentucky be good at a sport that's not basketball. So I'm excited. I'm really fired up to hear that.
13 years of the Mark Stoops experience wasn't enough for you?
Yeah. I mean, there were some good moments. That 2018 season with Benny Snell where they won 9 games, and then the 2021 season with Levis where they won 10 games. There were some good moments, but it was, largely
4-4 in bowl games under Mark Stoops.
Yeah.
Winning record 82-80.
There you go. Yeah, it was more of the same. He was almost Jeff Fisher. Just should have lost 2 more games.
Lost a couple more games. If he had the chance, he would have been 82-82. One texter says, on our conversation about Tennessee and Vanderbilt, what are the odds of both Tennessee and Vandy starting their freshman 5-star quarterbacks? I mean, I think it's pretty high.
I think that's pretty likely.
Faison Brandon and Jared Curtis. It sounds like, from the reports I've read out of Knoxville, that Brandon is probably going to start for Tennessee. We talked about this last week. Pete Nakos of On3 projected every starting quarterback in the SEC, and he had Blaze Berlowitz starting for Vanderbilt. Now, Nakos did not specify if that meant through the whole season or just in week 1, and it wouldn't shock me if Berlowitz started the beginning of the season and Jared Curtis, 2-3 games in, is starting quarterback for the Vanderbilt Commodores. But to answer the texter's question, I think the odds of both Tennessee and Vandy starting their freshman 5-star quarterbacks is pretty high. So today being the opening of SEC Media Days in Tampa, Commissioner Greg Sankey did his State of the SEC address. And the one thing that he said that generated the most headlines, reading directly here from The Athletic, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey reiterated Monday that talk of the conference breaking away is quote-unquote real and not a leverage play. The idea of an SEC breakaway from the NCAA, ranging from making its own rules to staging its own playoff, has been simmering within the conference for a while, then became a talking point at SEC spring meetings in late May. We actually have the clip of Greg Sankey addressing this. Again, this is Greg Sankey earlier today at SEC Media Days, talking about whether the SEC could truly break away from the rest of college football.
Real are the conversations within the SEC about potentially breaking away from the college structure as we know it? And in any way, is that being used as leverage in the conversations you're having with Congress about the bill?
So you phrased the question of how real. So I'll take that as like real or not real. So they're real. People have talked about that. They've opined about the frustrations that bring them to the point of saying we should look at something significantly different. I do not believe that is a leverage point. I think that's just honest communication. I would prefer that stay in a meeting room or on a video conference and not be part of the D1 ticker the next morning, but I don't control all of that. Eddie, what I think is important is those comments represent a high level of frustration with the circumstance in which we find ourselves.
That was Greg Sankey, again, addressing the idea that the SEC could break away and start its own thing, basically. And I will admit that if there is a league that could pull this off, it would be the SEC. But when we talked about this, Willie, Derek, and I, when we talked about this in late May when this came up during SEC spring meetings. Willie and Derek, specifically Willie, thought this idea was so laughable, he did not even want to entertain the conversation. So let me ask you this question, Connor Nute, as someone who loves the SEC. How real do you think this is?
It's unfortunately scarily real. I think when and if this happens, it's the death of college football as we know it. And that's unfortunate because, as we know, college football right now isn't perfect, but people still watch and we still love it. And I mean, clearly we still love it. We're talking about it in late July just to get excited about something because there's no sports going on right now other than baseball, really. And I guess if you like MLS, good for you. But it's frighteningly real because it keeps coming up. And I think the Big Ten is going to get involved in this too. If college football as we know it right now and doesn't get some guardrails and doesn't get some help politically, I guess we could say, then it's going to come further and further into motion to where we break off and we have 3 separate leagues and 3 different national champions. I think we've talked about this before, or I've talked about this with someone else before. I liken it to, let's talk wrestling for a second. Do you remember in 2011, Punk wins the title, he goes off, and then they crown Cena the champion, and then Punk comes back, and they're both the champions?
Yes.
That's how it will be. It will be the SEC and the Big Ten's league winning their national championship that they've created, claiming they're the real champions. Then you'll have whoever's left over in the NCAA winning that national championship, claiming they're the champions. There's no real decision there. And it's unfortunate because I don't want to see the SEC and the Big Ten break off and only play each other. I like the depth that comes with it. I like seeing the SEC and the Big 12 do battle. I like seeing in basketball the SEC and the ACC challenge. I think that's fun. And it's not just because it's fun. It's because it provides balance to the sport. It would be like if one of the continents of the world decided we're not going to be with Earth. We're going to go with Mars. It doesn't make sense. So I think it's scarily real that we're talking about this. I think it's frighteningly real that the commissioner is reiterating that this is in fact a thing. And quite frankly, no offense to Willie, of course, and he's not here to defend himself, so I feel sorry for saying this. If you're laughing at the idea that this isn't real, nor is never going to happen, nor is such a overreaction, then I'm sorry. It's not. It's a real thing, and it's a very big topic that hopefully gets prevented.
Well, the SEC will claim, and Greg Sankey is quick to claim, that the SEC is the strongest league in the country, despite the fact that it's been, 3 consecutive years of an SEC team not being in the college football playoff championship game. But historically, the SEC is the strongest college football conference in America. And I hear what you're saying. I am not dyed in the wool SEC because I did not grow up in SEC country. I grew up in ACC country. So having lived in Nashville now for more than 11 years, I understand how important the SEC is to the greater college sports landscape, especially in football. And because of the level of competition, if the SEC were to do this, how devalued would a championship be? I mean, how many programs outside of the SEC would, trying to think of the best way to phrase this, like if the SEC it was its own thing, it had its own championship, like how many formidable teams are missing? Indiana at this moment in time, I guess Notre Dame, Michigan, Oregon,
Ohio
right?
State. Yeah.
So you're missing some. You're missing some. But I still think that the SEC has a strong enough roster of teams that I don't know if it would be as devalued as people think.
Yeah, I'm interested if this does happen and the SEC and let's say the Big Ten follows suit with them, they break away. How many teams from the ACC and the Big 12 would join them? Like, would Duke follow suit to play big dogs in the basketball league? Would North Carolina follow? Would Kansas? In football, would you see Texas Tech and I don't know, Clemson and Miami follow suit? I'm wondering if that would be the way things would go, but I don't think it would be as devalued if that were to happen. But at the same time, it wouldn't be as valued as it is now, where you have 138 FBS teams competing for the same championship, and maybe not rightfully so, because you can't convince me there's a way that uh, Eastern Michigan and Texas are in the same boat playing for the same national championship. But at the same time, if that happens, there's going to be a massive devaluing of their national championship compared to what we have now.
615-737-1025. You heard Greg Sankey earlier today at SEC Media Days. He says this breakaway talk is real, not just bluster. Part of me thinks it's still mostly bluster, but he's claiming it's not.
It's a load of barnacles.
Yes. This is a load of barnacles. The SEC, one texter says, the SEC breaking away kills all college sports. So long March Madness and all non-revenue sports. I mean, there are so many dominoes that would fall if this actually happens. And again, I still think it's mostly bluster. Maybe I'm naive, but that's what Greg Sankey said earlier today. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, I heard this conversation recently on Robbie and Rex Road during their regular Wednesday morning visit with Paul Kaharski of paulkaharski.com. And I think this would be an interesting question to debate about the Tennessee Titans. Reading directly from Paul's website, which former Titan would sting most if he thrives elsewhere? L'Jarius Sneed, Tavondre Sweat, or Bill Callahan? 615-737-1025. We will attempt to answer that question coming up next. Connor Nute, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Adam Vingan, Connor Nute, Brandon Bigsby here with you on your drive home. Willie Donick and Derek Mason on vacation this week. They'll be back next week. Titans training camp is getting really close. Rookies report to camp on Thursday. Veterans report a week from tomorrow. So we've almost made it to Titans training camp. Rookies report to camp on Thursday. Vets report next Tuesday. And I remember a conversation that Robbie and Rexroad had recently with Paul Kaharski, of course, of paulkaharski.com. Paul wrote about it on his website, and I thought it would be interesting to discuss here. So this is the question for all of you at 615-737-1025 as we prepare for yet another NFL season. Which former Titan would sting the most if he thrives elsewhere? L'Jarius Sneed, T'Vondre Sweat, or Bill Callahan? Bill Callahan is now the offensive line coach for, I believe, the Atlanta Falcons.
That's correct. Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed went back to Kansas City after his ill-fated short career here in Nashville. And T'Vondre Sweat traded to the New York Jets for Jermaine Johnson. So let me ask you this question, Connor. Which one of these would hurt the most for Titans fans if they find success in their new homes? Bill Callahan, L'Jarius Sneed, or T'Vondre Sweat?
I would go Sneed just because that was a huge trade at the time. And I remember that roster being constructed and there was a lot of hype surrounding it. It was false hope. We all know it. It was, as a friend of ours called it, toxic positivity. So Sneed going back to Kansas City and just becoming maybe not even an all-pro, just a lockdown corner. What he wasn't here, I think would suck just because that's what you thought you were getting. But T'Vondre Sweat is interesting to me too, because that's a player that you spend a lot of time scouting and you spent a high draft pick on him. And he had some moments here. I remember he had was it an interception where he started taking off down the sideline? It was pretty funny and it was a good play too. And I think he has the upside to be a really good player in this league. It just ultimately wasn't a fit in the Robert Saleh scheme and the Robert Saleh defense. So those are definitely the two. I would probably lean L'Jarius Sneed though, just because, his tenure here was so bad and so disappointing that I think if he were to go off to Kansas City and just all of a sudden become this great corner again, it would really hurt to see that. So that's my answer.
As a reminder, not that you need to be reminded, the Tennessee Titans traded for L'Jarius Sneed, then signed him to a 4-year, $76 million contract. But he struggled to stay on the field, appearing in a grand total of 12 games over 2 seasons. He then returned in June to the Kansas City Chiefs on a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. So the Chiefs bringing back Sneed for pennies on the dollar. And I understand your point, Connor. The investment made in L'Jarius Sneed and the return on investment, if he goes to Kansas City and returns to the Sneed he was right before he came to Tennessee, that would suck for a lot of Titans fans. But to me, I think the answer is cut and dry. I think it's T'Vondre Sweat.
Yeah.
Just because of how young he is. He was a promising second-round pick in 2024. Good run defender. If you want to look at the fancy stats, I know the traditional numbers were not jumping off the page for T'Vondre Sweat. There were questions about his fit within the Titans culture under Mike Borgonzi. He was a Rand Carthon pick, not a Mike Borgonzi pick. And we saw Mike Borgonzi. He did the same thing with Jarvis Brownlee last season. If he doesn't think you're a fit for the culture, you're not going to stick around, even if you're young, even if you're promising. And I think if T'Vondre Sweat goes to the Jets and reaches his potential, I think that's really going to sting Titans fans because of the fact that they used a high second round pick on him. He goes somewhere else. If he balls out, to me, like, I don't think I could care less about Bill Callahan.
No, I
at
don't
this
care
point.
about that one. Yeah.
Bill Callahan confirmed the offensive line coach for the Atlanta Falcons.
Great.
Like, I understand that there was a lot of excitement about Bill Callahan coming to Tennessee, working under his son. He has a long track record of success as an offensive line coach. It did not translate here. We have gone through this over and over and over again. But I'm not sure even Bill Callahan could get the most out of what the Titans offensive line appears to be entering training camp. By many measures, one of the worst projected offensive lines in the NFL, which is something you could have said last year and the year before that, and probably the year before that. But Bill Callahan was and is not a miracle worker. So for me, like, if I don't know anything about the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, to be honest with you, I am never going to attempt to learn anything about the Atlanta Falcons offensive line just because it doesn't suit our purposes here.
Yeah.
If the Falcons have a great offensive line or improve significantly year over year, great, whatever. But to me, I think it's clearly T'Vondre Sweat. I understand the point about Snead. I think it's clearly T'Vondre Sweat.
I think between the three, you're going to feel the impact of two for more clearly for two reasons. One, they're players and they're the ones controlling the outcome on the field directly. Two, they're both in the AFC, and that would directly affect the Titans' path to their schedule or their playoff. Let's say they even make the playoffs this season. But the Jets, especially, like if T'Vondre Sweat goes out that week 1 game and just balls out, that's going to suck. Like we're going to have a lot of people texting in on this station across all shows, just having Titans meltdowns because T'Vondre Sweat just went off. If L'Jarius Sneed goes off this season, it would suck because that's what you paid for and you paid a high price for it. Signed him to a big contract. You gave up assets to go get him. But at the same time, I don't think the Titans play the Chiefs this season. So you wouldn't feel that directly. It's an interesting conversation because I think both are going to, I'm going to keep saying the word, they're both going to suck if they just completely go off and, reach their full potential. But I think Sweat has the higher upside than Snead. The way I'm just looking at this is how much the Titans gave up to go get Snead and what they thought that meant for that roster and what it actually meant and actually amounted to. I think if he goes off, especially on the deal he's on right now, would you say 1 year, $5 million?
Up to
$5
emphasize the up to.
So not even that. If he goes out and he is, a top 10 corner even in this league this season, that's going to be painful. And I think a lot of Titans fans are going to be really upset about that.
I've told you what the worst case scenario is for the Titans in week 1. Also, to confirm, the Titans do not play the Kansas City Chiefs this season. So
Yeah,
L'Jarius Sneed will not face the Titans this season, but T'Vondre Sweat will face the Titans this season in week 1 here at Nissan Stadium. And I've already laid out the worst case scenario for the Titans. Cam Ward takes the field for his first drive of his second year. He drops back. T'Vondre Sweat, like a bat out of hell, pressures Cam Ward. Cam Ward tosses up a prayer in the direction of Carnell Tate. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. intercepts Cam Ward and returns it for a touchdown to give the Jets an early lead. That is the nightmare scenario for Titans fans. I think I mentioned that when the schedule first came out. But between the storylines with Robert Saleh facing his former team in week 1, now we know that Chris Johnson will be inducted into the Titans Ring of Honor that same day. I can only imagine the meltdown that Titans fans will have if T'Vondre Sweat pressures Cam Ward into an interception by Jarvis Brownlee that is returned for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That is the absolute worst case scenario for the Titans in week 1. But this brings up another conversation that a lot of sports fans have about why did this player who was bad for my team go on to somewhere else and be good.
The Titans story.
The Predators, too. When I reported on the Predators, this was a thing all the time. I remember it with Ellie Tolvanen. I remember it with Dante Fabro. There are others. You can go back further into the annals of Predators' recent history. And there's always this thing about, hey, wait a minute. This guy who was on our team, who sucked for us, went to another team, and now he's good. So it must be us. I mean, sometimes players just need changes of scenery. Like, as you mentioned, Connor, Tavondre Sweat wasn't seen as a scheme fit for Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
So if Tavondre Sweat goes to New York, he's playing for Aaron Glenn, and he has a better chance of success there, I don't think that's an indictment of the Tennessee Titans and their development of Tavondre Sweat. Sometimes players just don't fit where they are. But I do think that if Tavondre Sweat goes to New York and becomes one of the better run defenders in the NFL, especially at a relatively young age, that's going to sting. But I don't think it should serve as an indictment on the Titans drafting and developing. There's already plenty of other examples you can use to criticize the Titans for their drafting and developing. But sometimes players just need a change of scenery. You see it in all sports. You see it in football. You see it in hockey. You see it in basketball. Sometimes that's what happens. Dylan in Antioch on our text line says, I think it's Tavondre Sweat, and it's not even close. High draft pick and all the potential upside. I would agree with that, Dylan. If I had to choose, if Bill Callahan rediscovers his legendary offensive line coach form, if L'Jarius Sneed goes back to Kansas City and plays at an all-pro level, if Tavondre Sweat goes to the Jets and starts living up to his potential, it would all suck in various degrees. But to me, head and shoulders, it's Tavondre Sweat over the other two.
Yeah. Bill Callahan's kind of a non-factor in this discussion to me. Like, he's a coach, and, like you said, he had his time here. It wasn't great. But if he goes off to the Falcons and they just become all of a sudden the greatest offensive line we've ever seen, then great. Good for him. The other two, I will be watching closely, honestly, to see how they do. Like I'm not going to sit down every Sunday and hone in on some New York Jets football for 3 hours of my life. That would be a waste of time. But, I will be stat watching. I'll be keeping up with what Tavondre Sweat does, and Jarvis Bradley too, honestly, because I thought he was going to be a semi of a cornerstone for the Titans in the future. And then L'Jarius Sneed, I'm curious, even if he stays on the field, I would kind of laugh if he goes over to Kansas City and it's just more of the same. Like, he plays in like 5 games of the 17 that they play. That'd be really funny.
One texter says, what if Sweat hits Ward and injures him and it is a season-ending injury? I mean,
God.
I didn't even go that far.
Get the holy water. I don't wish any evil on anyone.
No, that would be a rough one. But again, nightmare scenario. Cam Ward, pressured by Tavondre Sweat in week 1, throws a prayer to Carnell Tate, picked off by Jarvis Brownlee, returned for a pick 6. 6-0 Jets right off the hop. That's a bad omen.
And a chorus of boos rains down from Nissan Stadium.
Yes, a bad omen. 615-737-1025. Inspired by Paul Kaharski during a recent visit to Robbie and Rexroad. Which former Titan would sting the most if he thrives elsewhere? L'Jarius Sneed with the Chiefs, Tavondre Sweat with the Jets, or Bill Callahan with the Falcons? 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on that. Plus, Cam Ward with some new praise for Brian Daboll over the weekend. Speaking of Fanatics Fest, everything apparently happens at Fanatics Fest. Tom Brady slaps Logan Paul, and Cam Ward sits down and talks about Brian Daboll. We'll play what he had to say. Plus, I do have a question about Brian Daboll as it relates to Cam Ward. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. All of our football offseason coverage here on 1025 The Game is presented by Tennessee Brewworks and Parman Tractor and Equipment. Parman Tractor and Equipment, providing totally outrageous customer service. Visit parmantractor.com.
And I think just having us bringing in Daboll in this 5-6 months that I've been with him, he's taught me so much, that I wish I knew last year.
What has he taught you about basically, like, is it more schemes or is it more defense that he's been able to kind of teach you?
He's everything. I think the best thing about him that he's allows the quarterback to have his input on the offense, whether that's week to week or the whole playbook. And the first thing that, I had a great relationship with him during the pre-draft process last year when I was coming out. But the first thing, as soon as we hired him, it was, what do you want to run? Everything I wanted to do. He didn't talk about what he did with Josh, with Jackson last year, with other quarterbacks he has. It was, what did I want to do?
I love that.
And so he listened to the quarterback. He sees it from my perspective when the bullets are actually flying and where my mind goes to during the play and how I get through the read versus coverage. And he's really helped me be more of a situational football player. And I think that's going to help me down the road because, I don't have to think big play on first and second down. Really, I just got to be prepared for one down. That's third down. I think, and to me, that's how he explained. That's where quarterback gets played on third down, whether it's third and short, medium, or long. You got to come with it, and then you got to be good in 2-minute drill and red zone. And if you do those three things right as a quarterback, you end up being one of the best in the league.
That was Cam Ward on the Debo and Joe show.
I have no idea who those people are.
Well, it's James Harrison.
Okay.
And Joe Hayden.
Oh, then I do know who both those people are.
Yes. Don't tell James Harrison you don't know who James Harrison is.
Sorry, James Harrison.
He is a scary man. But that was Cam Ward on the Debo and Joe show talking about his experience getting to know his new offensive coordinator and play caller, Brian Daboll. First of all, Connor, your thoughts on what Cam Ward said about Daboll, but then I have a question about Daboll that I want to get to.
I mean, it's some high praise. I was kind of listening to that clip to see the comparisons of the system last year to this year, and he didn't really tap into that too much, but I like how he iterates that he has a lot of freedom, and it's not the kind of freedom that we saw in the quarterback show where Brian Callahan goes in the first game against the Denver Broncos and goes, all right, what play do you want here, in his literal first start as an NFL quarterback. But what I gathered from that is that the playbook is tailored for him. It is genuinely not created for him, but there are a lot of plays that surround the fit of him and Carnell Tate and that offensive line. And that's exciting to me as a Titans fan, as someone that's going to cover the team this year. That's exciting for me to watch because I'm going to be looking for the differences in the offense from this year and last year.
And I am far from an X's and O's expert when it comes to football. But even I can understand that this offense should run much more smoothly than it did under Brian Callahan. Because, again, even someone who is not an expert on the X's and O's, I could tell, like, this is not what good offense is supposed to look like. And I think you saw it again if you watched the quarterback series on Netflix. We talked about the exchange between Ward and Callahan during the week 1 game at Denver that was caught on camera in the opening episode of this season of Quarterback. But here is a question that I have about Brian Daboll. And I will ask this question to our panel of Titans reporters over the course of the week. Terry McCormick, by the way, joins us tomorrow. Nick Suss on Wednesday. Easton Freeze on Thursday. Teron Davenport on Friday. I'm wondering if Brian Daboll's potential impact on Cam Ward has been overstated. And last week, we had Aaron Schatz of FTN Fantasy on the program. The FTN Fantasy Almanac for 2026 just came out. And I was reading back through the Titans section of the Almanac, and there were multiple paragraphs devoted to Brian Daboll and the impact he could have on Cam Ward. And here's something I found interesting. Quote from FTN Fantasy. Daboll has only had 3 seasons out of 12 as a primary play caller with an above average offense. 2 with Josh Allen, and then just barely in 2022 with the first Daniel Jones renaissance with the Giants. And don't get me wrong, when you hear about Josh Allen becoming the Josh Allen you watch every week with the Buffalo Bills, Brian Daboll had a lot to do with that. But part of me wonders if he's been sort of coasting on that reputation for a while. That isn't to say that Daboll's not going to come in here and make things better for Cam Ward. And I know that Daboll's worked with some bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Other than his time with Josh Allen and Daniel Jones, and most recently Jackson Dart.
Jury's still out on him.
Right.
See.
So I understand Daboll's worked with some bad quarterbacks, and Cam Ward as a prospect is miles above most of the quarterbacks Daboll has gotten to work with before. But I'm wondering if Titans fans are putting too much hope into the Brian Daboll basket. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So let me ask you, do you think that Daboll's potential impact on Cam Ward has been overstated in any way?
It's possible because I'm going back to the era of the impact of Brian Callahan on Cam Ward before we saw the on-the-field product. Remember last year we were talking about if Brian Callahan is in fact going to have a redemption year, would he be best suited to be around Cam Ward? And there was a lot of discourse between that. Do people believe that? And ultimately, the answer came out no. But I think it's worth admitting that Brian Daboll is much more proven as a play caller than Brian Callahan was. In fact, he has called plays before as an offensive coordinator. So I think it's fair to assume that maybe it is overstated just because we haven't seen the product on the field. And we don't know how the volume of work is going to look around him. But a lot of people use the track record for Brian Daboll as their reasoning. You mentioned him, Josh Allen. Daniel Jones had a career year under Brian Daboll. Jackson Dart looked like a promising young star last season, at least in the time he was under Brian Daboll. So I think it's an interesting concern. I'm not concerned about it just yet, just because I haven't seen the on-the-field product. But if we get halfway down the season and Cam Ward leads the league in interceptions and there's really no progress being made, then that's certainly going to come up again. It's just a matter of how much of it is on Brian Daboll and how much of it is on Cam Ward. I need to see actual footage of what it looks like in a real game scenario before I make that assessment.
Benjamin says, what about at Alabama when Brian Daboll was, I think, offensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide?
Yeah.
About 10 years ago. I mean, when you're coaching at Alabama in that era under Nick Saban, you're playing with a stacked deck.
I think you and I could call plays at
Right.
Alabama and be successful.
And that is, I'm not disregarding entirely what Daboll did at Alabama. Certainly impressive. But I'm focused specifically on his time in the NFL. The point the FTN fantasy crew was making is if you're going to bring with you that offensive guru label, have some results you can point to without MVP caliber play from your quarterback.
Yeah.
And analytically, as I said, 3 seasons out of 12 Daboll has with an above average offense, 2 of which came with Josh Allen, who, by the way, when ESPN.com did those lists of the top players at every position, talking to league people, who was number 1 in the quarterback list? Josh Allen. So when you've got the MVP of the league, arguably the best quarterback in the league at your disposal, that quarterback can make you look really, really, really good. And Daboll helped Josh Allen look that good. But I was just wondering if there's any possibility that we're overstating the potential impact of Brian Daboll. And again, when I look at what the Titans offense has been over the past 2 seasons, mostly under Brian Callahan, then we had the Mike McCoy, Nick Holtz, Bo Hardegree experience. It wasn't pretty. It shouldn't be hard for Daboll to show significant improvement overseeing the Titans offense, but just how far can he take it? One thing about Daboll that I'm interested in seeing, Connor, Ben Solak of ESPN pointed this out, that Brian Daboll relies on his quarterbacks running, Cam Ward this past season had only 9 designed runs, 8 of which came after Callahan was fired. His scramble rate of 3.7% was well below the league average of 5.4%. Jackson Dart scrambled at a 9.2% rate, and I'm not expecting Cam Ward to do that. But Daniel Jones scrambled at a 7.5% rate under Daboll. Josh Allen, 7.3% under Daboll. So I'm wondering if we could see Cam Ward use his legs a little bit more. And this is something that Willie, Derek, and I have talked about so much over the past year. I would like to see Cam Ward utilize his legs more. I don't think Cam Ward is a speedster by any stretch of the imagination, but he has shown he can be tough to take down. So I do wonder if Daboll tries to implement that more into Cam Ward's game this season.
I hope not, honestly. I don't really want to see design runs for a non-scrambling quarterback. Now, if we get in a situation where he's under pressure and he has no one open and he has to roll to the right and take off, then that's a different story. But if you're quite literally lining up with the intention of, all right, Cam, you're going to snap the ball, the hole's going to open right up the middle, I just want you to run straight through it, then I don't think that's a very smart plan. Not just because of his skill set, but I think you're risking the injury concerns of hurting your franchise quarterback. I think last year for Brian Daboll is a perfect example. Jackson Dart's more of a runner than Cam Ward, of course, but how many times did we see Jackson Dart scramble, get hit, and then off to the blue tent he goes?
Yeah, he was tested for concussions more times than I can count last season.
I am not completely against a quarterback running under his own power and under his own control, but if you're bringing the Josh Allen playbook for Cam Ward, that's not something I would like to see.
I think that Cam Ward can be effective using his legs a little bit more. I don't think Cam Ward is as reckless as Jackson Dart showed he was, at least this past season. Again, I lost count on how many times he was being tested for a concussion after taking a big hit because he was scrambling. But I think we saw Cam Ward at his best when he improvised a little bit, when he got out of the pocket, when he used his legs, when he had to come up with something off the cuff. And I do wonder, because historically it appears that Daboll's starting quarterbacks rely on their legs. He wants that to be part of the offensive game. So that's something I'll be watching more of this season. I want to see how Cam Ward uses his legs a little bit more. One texter says they need to use his legs by moving the pocket and have a ham. I don't know what have a ham with design rollouts and bootlegs. I mean, I am hungry. One texter says, I'm more excited for Daboll to run just the offense and not a whole team.
That's fair.
We'll see as well. I mean, the same thing can be said about Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh made the point when he took the job in Tennessee that one thing he is going to do this season that he did not do as head coach of the New York Jets is he's going to call the defense. He said before he got the job, I remember listening to an interview he did. He said before he got the job, the one thing he regretted as head coach of the Jets was not calling the defense. He felt like it took him out of the game. So we'll see Saleh actually call the defense. And look, I'm intrigued by the combination of Daboll and Saleh getting second chances here in Tennessee, away from the harsh spotlight of New York City, more specifically New Jersey, but it does say New York Giants and New York Jets. One texter says ham was autocorrect. LOL. I figured. I was having fun. I mean, I do like a good ham, but I am interested to see how the two of them do here away from that harsh spotlight. Although 2 of the first 3 games this season, home to the Jets, on the road against the Giants. So at least they get those games out of the way.
Yeah.
I think it's better when you play those games, those return games early in the season versus when you have to wait near the end of the season. But it's just something, the idea about Daboll's impact being overstated is just something I thought about as I was reading the FTN Fantasy Almanac, because analytically, Daboll's track record isn't as sterling as it is when you just talk about it anecdotally. I'm sure he's super excited about coaching Cam Ward. I mean, he was hoping to coach Cam Ward as head coach of the New York Giants. So now he has the opportunity to do so. 615-737-1025. My random question that popped into my head over the weekend. Has Brian Daboll's potential impact on Cam Ward been overstated? According to FTN Fantasy, Daboll has only had 3 seasons out of 12 as a primary play caller with an above average offense. And 2 of those came with Josh Allen, widely considered the best quarterback in the NFL. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on that. Plus, we'll wrap up the show by playing the game that is sweeping the city.
Yes.
Where are they now? That's coming up next. Connor Nute, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Adam Vingan, Connor Nute, Brandon Bigsby here with you. Wrapping up an abbreviated show on this Monday. Tomorrow on the program, Joey Dwyer of Van Dion SI will join us. We'll talk more about the Commodores. Tomorrow is Vanderbilt Day at SEC Media Days. We'll hear from Clark Lee and others. So Joey will join us tomorrow to preview this Vanderbilt football season. And Terry McCormick will be live in studio for an hour from 4 to 5 to help us break down Titans training camp, which starts next week. Rookies report on Thursday. Veterans report a week from tomorrow. So Terry McCormick will be in studio with us from 4 to 5 tomorrow to break down some Titans. But to wrap up the week, we're going to play the game show that is sweeping the station. One day it could sweep the nation, but it's certainly sweeping the station and the city.
That's good.
It is. Thank you. It is. Where are they now? Now, Connor Nute, as the creator of this game, for those who have not had an opportunity to play, where are they now? Tell us the rules.
So thank you. I credit this creation to myself, Nick Frazier, and Jake Lyman. For those of you unfamiliar, Where Are They Now is a game about career paths. We go around in, I guess, a triangle, since there's 3 of us. We'll list the career paths of any former or current athlete of any sport, really. Nick Frazier got creative the other day and did WWE tag teams, which he did a good job of. But I usually try to stick to the 4 majors: football, baseball, basketball, hockey. There's not really a point system. We tried that and it got really competitive. So we said, let's just have some fun with this. But it is fun. I'm pretty good at the whole basketball stuff. They're too afraid to try me now. Frazier won't throw me any basketball ones because I'm going to get it pretty quickly. So that's it. It's pretty fun. We kind of just roll with it. Would anyone like to start? If not, I'm ready.
I will start.
All right, Adam.
All right. We will start in the association, that being the National Basketball Association. All right. Here's the career path: Clippers, Suns, Bucks, Pelicans, Clippers.
That is former Kentucky Wildcat, Mr. Eric Bledsoe.
Indeed it is. I was hoping to trip you up on someone from Kentucky so I can make fun of you. If you're like, I don't know who that is. But
I will go to the National Hockey League.
All right.
In an attempt to trip Adam Vingan up.
All right, let's do it.
Montreal Canadiens.
Okay.
Vancouver Canucks.
Okay.
Nashville Predators.
Okay.
Pittsburgh Penguins.
Okay. Montreal Canadiens, Vancouver Canucks, Nashville Predators, Pittsburgh Penguins. Huh. Go for it, Brandon.
It is not Matt Cullen.
No, Matt Cullen played for many more teams. Yeah. He did finish Nashville, Pittsburgh. So I can see why you would say Matt Cullen. It's a good guess. Let's see. Montreal, Vancouver, Nashville, Pittsburgh. All right. I need a hint.
He is. Do I want to give you position? It is a defenseman.
A defenseman. Okay. Montreal, Vancouver, Nashville, Pittsburgh. It's not Luke Shen.
It is not Luke Shen.
Though Luke Shen played for the Canucks, the Predators, and the Penguins. It's not Shea Weber, obviously. It's not PK Subban.
He was around those teams, though.
It's not, it's not Yannick Weber.
It is Yannick Weber.
Oh,
good job.
All right, Yannick Weber. I forgot about Yannick Weber's trip to Pittsburgh.
The greatest player to ever play for the Nashville Predators with the last name Weber.
Yes. I like Yannick Weber. Nice guy. All right, Brandon, you got one for us?
Okay. 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 It's not Zebo because he played for the Knicks and the Clippers.
Please.
Please do. Yeah. Okay. Is he a part of a very famous interview moment?
I think I got it.
I think I do too.
You want to say it at the same time?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Rudy
Jermichael
Gay.
Green. Ah.
Really?
Oh,
is
Michael
it
Conley.
Mike Conley? No. Oh, I don't know. I give up.
I would have never gotten that.
I thought Rudy Gay would have been a good pull there.
Yeah.
All right. I got the next one. We'll go back to the National Hockey League.
Oh, boy.
All right. Here we go. Nashville Predators, Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals, Dallas Stars, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings.
Okay. So that is a...
Nashville Predators, Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals, Dallas Stars, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings.
I want to say Jordan Tutu, but I don't think he played for that many teams.
It is not Jordan Tutu.
Yeah. He's a Blackhawk.
All right, I'll give you a hint. This player played the majority of his career with the Predators. 9 seasons
Okay.
before bouncing around the league to Boston, Washington, Dallas, Chicago, and Detroit.
Okay.
He is retired recently.
Retired. Is it? No, because he played for Colorado and Philadelphia. It's not Ryan Johansson.
It is not Ryan Johansson. But he's good buddies with Ryan Johansson.
Yeah.
Played on a lot of teams with Ryan Johansson.
Okay, I'm trying.
It is not
No,
Ryan Ellis.
I'm trying to think of line mates with him.
But was another teammate of
Yeah.
this player, Ryan Ellis was.
No.
It is not Victor Arvidsson.
He played for Edmonton.
Nashville, Boston, Washington, Dallas, Chicago, Detroit.
Nick Cousins.
It is not Nick Cousins. Any other guesses?
Nick Bonino.
It is not Nick Bonino.
All right, I'm out of Nicks.
It is Craig Smith.
Oh, I knew I was around that area. Oh, Craig Smith.
Played 9 seasons in Nashville. Played 2 seasons in Boston. And then played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams over like 3 or 4 years. He got traded a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. Brian, you are correct on our text line. Indeed, it is Crazy Legs, Craig Smith. All right, Connor.
All right, we're going to the association, the National Basketball Association, that is. Cleveland Cavaliers, Utah Jazz, Chicago Bulls, Los Angeles Lakers.
Cavs, Jazz, Bulls, Lakers. Cavs.
Adam Vingan.
Let's take a look here. Boozer, I don't think ever played for the Lakers, did he? I don't think it's Boozer. Like, I need a moment, but I don't think it's Boozer. Because Boozer, I think, started in Utah. He did not start in Cleveland. He played in Cleveland, but he didn't start in Cleveland. I think he started in Utah. So I don't know the answer yet, but it's not Boozer.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You're wrong.
It is?
It's Booze Cruz, as lovingly referred to on Pro Basketball Reference as Booze, C Booze, and Booze Cruz.
I was certain.
You should be ashamed.
I am
Duke
ashamed
fan.
of myself. I'm certain it was the other way around, that he was in Utah first.
I mean, I most notably remember him with Utah.
Yes. I have no recollection. Of him playing for the Lakers.
It was for 1 year in 2014 and 15.
Zero recollection.
He averaged, let's see. Why do they have points all the way at the bottom? That's stupid. He averaged 11.5 points in the Lakers.
Yeah, that's probably why I don't remember it. All right. Brandon, you got another one? No, we have not.
Okay. Quarterback, A.J. McCarron.
Wow.
We may or may not have had that one the other day.
Okay. All righty. I've got one more. We will keep it with the NFL. Am I required to give the school?
No.
Okay. I will give the school as a hint if necessary. All right. In the NFL, Saints, Seahawks, Packers, Bears, Saints.
Jimmy Graham.
Oh, that's impressive, my friend.
Sorry.
Would you have also said Jimmy Graham? One of my all-time favorite players, Jimmy Graham. In his day, man, he was dominant. All right. I think we've got time for at least one more, depending on how quickly.
I've got one.
Okay.
We're going to the NFL. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baltimore Ravens, Seattle Seahawks, Cleveland Browns, San Francisco 49ers.
Okay. Buccaneers, Ravens, Seahawks, Browns, 49ers.
Trying to remember where he played college. It doesn't have it on here for some reason.
All right, let's see. Hold on. Tampa.
Former Pro Bowler, former Super Bowl champion. Some may say his Super Bowl championship is pretty controversial.
Not. Yeah.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baltimore Ravens, Seattle Seahawks, Cleveland Browns, San Francisco 49ers.
It's not Joey Galloway.
It is not.
It's not Richard Sherman.
He is a quarterback.
He is a quarterback. Is it Dilfer?
It is Dilfer. It is Trent Dilfer.
Okay.
The man in Brandon's backyard.
All right, Brandon, we got time for one more. How about you wrap us up? We got time for one more. He's not ready. All right. You got one more, Connor?
I can pull one up very, very quickly.
We'll see who's got one first.
I am ready.
All right, Connor, go for it.
To the association, one more
Okay,
time.
one more time.
Sacramento Kings, New Orleans Pelicans, Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, Los Angeles Clippers, Milwaukee Bucks, Denver Nuggets.
Oh, man.
I can repeat that one more time.
Yes, please.
Sacramento Kings,
Yes.
New Orleans Pelicans, Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, Los Angeles Clippers, Milwaukee Bucks,
All right.
Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, Boogie Cousins.
It is indeed.
Yes.
Boogie Cousins.
Brandon got it. And
Redemption.
that is Where Are They Now? We will play that to wrap up every show this week in honor of Connor being on the program. But that will do it for us today. We appreciate you joining us for an abbreviated version of D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick. We will be back with a full show tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Joey Dwyer of Vandy on SI will join us to talk some Commodores football, with the Commodores being featured during SEC Media Days tomorrow. Terry McCormick will be live in studio from 4 to 5 to help us preview Titans training camp, which starts in about a week. Thank goodness. We made it through almost. We made it through the slow period of the year. We'll get into more of SEC Media Days as well tomorrow. But as I've mentioned, Willie and Derek aren't here. So on behalf of Derek Mason, be loved. Love on your people. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. And Connor, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we're going to be talking and
You're going to be listening.
peace.